Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this another brand new day. It is chillish outside without being cold, kind of gray. Thumbs up. I managed to sleep, got to bed late, but then actually stayed asleep for most of the night. Thumbs up for that. Hopefully you have slept well. Hopefully you're going to have a great day. I'm recording this on Saturday morning. Definitely a thumbs up for that. Yay! I'm going to take the day easy. No phone calls I can make, so yay. I do still want to call my genetic father. I've been trying to call him since mid-November. 2 months now. I hate executive dysfunction. And of course, front-loading of videos. If you could toss me a like, that'd be awesome. If you could subscribe to the channel, that'd be very cool. If you could leave me a comment, that'd be double plus good. And of course, I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. These are, in fact, literally awesome and literally beautiful people who are, in fact, literally awesome and literally beautiful, helping to keep me and my aging pet metabolizing. We both appreciate that very, very much. If you would like to help keep me and my aging pet metabolizing, I have links to my Patreon in the video description, along with a PayPal for possible donations, an Amazon wish list link with things like aging pet food on it, and my post office box is still down in the link, but at the end of the month it's going away. It's over $200 a year. That has more than doubled in price since when I first got it. Ay vey. Other places may be cheaper. I mean, taking a look at the size of the box that I have just on the USPS website, it says it's like $45, $450 a year, $450 per month to rent it. And here in Shelton, it's $200 a year. Anyway, though, life is life. So, I've been surviving, and that's good. It has been wet and not slimy. Well, some parts of nature are slimy as things break down, but it has just been wet and all that. I took my umbrella with me on my walkies last night, and that's good. Couple things to talk about in the physical world, the real world, the world that we live in, and then just talking about creative stuff and stuff that I've been doing. Yesterday, I took 2 walkies. How about that? I didn't just take my 7-mile round trip walkies at night. I also got some of my printing done. I have $2.40 left of the $44 of free printing you get every month at the library. I printed out not a lot, but enough. I have now printed out, there's a Treasure Awaits, which is, it's Ancient Odysseys, and they have Treasure Awaits and more Treasure Awaits. I finally have both of those books printed out. I want to run those for the channel. I have also printed out something called Barbarian Prince. Now, if you watched me play the Drifter for the channel not that long ago, it's sort of in the same genre as Barbarian Prince. Barbarian Prince has a series of rules, and then there's an event book. There is a hex map that you travel on, and then using the rule set and what's happening in the hexes, you check the events book. Just like the Drifter had done. You move on the hex map with the rules, and then you check the events book. This one's from 1982. Now again, it's not stolen, it's just I can speak English, I promise you. A similar genre type thing, and so that's a good thing. But I've got that printed out, and I want to try playing that. And as I've tried to say, I wanted to have a good science fiction space game that I can try. I need to print out the character sheets. I've printed out D100 Space, where you are a space captain traveling a galaxy, going from star system to star system, landing on the planets in the star systems and landing in space stations and trying to make your way through the galaxy as an up-and-coming starship owner. I wanted a more than just the kind of dungeon crawler type of thing, because a lot of science fiction stuff is like, there's a game called Hulks and Horrors, where basically you're trying to escape from space Hulk type things. But that's just basically a dungeon crawler. It's just that it's a dungeon crawler on a spaceship. I haven't wanted just another dungeon crawler type thing. I want something that's deep and granular, like I have with the various systems for the fantasy thing. So now I've got that printed out, and that'll be good. I need a good horror system. I've got things like 4 Against Evil and all that, which, well, no, it's Alone Against Evil, where you're going out and you're fighting against evil as a person, but it's not a deep, granular system. So if I can find a deep, granular horror type system, then I will be complete. I will have everything I'd like: science fiction, fantasy, horror. You know, those are the main genres I'm interested in. Everything else past that, I'm glad that other people like them. And I'm glad that those genres are there to provide for other people that enjoy that. I don't. So I'm glad it's there for them. So I've got a lot of stuff printed out, and that's good. Yay! Next month, I still got some stuff that needs to be printed. Lots of ragtag stuff. And then maybe one day I'll be done. Thumbs up for that. But let me check out more of what I was trying to talk about here. Yes, one of the things I do want to do for the channel is I have a couple of these. There's books. There are war games in a book. You know, instead of buying a deep, they used to make, like back in the 80s and 90s and all that, and they may still, very deep and intense solo war games. And they were, like I say, almost simulation type, so they were deep. But Mike Lambeau doesn't have time as he gets older to sit down for long sessions with a lot of pieces. And this other fellow that I watch, who does a channel called The Dungeon Dive, he talks about how the more pieces, the more difficult it is to get a board game out, the less it ever gets played. So the deeper and the more pieces you have, the less you're going to do it. These are just, they have a bunch of specific rules in the beginning, and then you open up the book, and on this side it has the map, on this side it has the AI rules and what you do in the general layout of turns, and then you play right there in the book. And I want to do that for the channel as well. So here's hoping I can finally push through a bunch of executive dysfunction I've been having. Yay. And then I've talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again because Vosh talked about it, because I mentioned this where Vosh had watched the video and was reacting to people being, well, this one person in specific being horrified at how part of the diagnosis for autism was checking on other people's opinions of how weird you are. And one of the things that Vosh said that I really have mentioned before that I'm super grateful for, he wasn't in one of the special ed programs as he was growing up. And I am so glad that when I was younger, I was not diagnosed with autism or ADHD, because especially when I was younger, special ed programs for those who were not as mentally abled as the general populace was not to get the people up and running. It was to get them out of sight and out of mind so that the normal kids weren't being bothered. There may have been good intentions for it, but in practice, no. Especially since they have to accommodate for everybody, but they're not going to spend a ton of money on a whole bunch of tiers where they have to go like, oh, this is 30,000, 30,000, 30,000, 30,000. No, they're going to spend like 30,000 for one program for everybody, lowest common denominator. So if you're a higher functioning person, you're in there watching ABCs while everybody else is learning. Now, I don't know what that's like today. I mean, I know that my son, from my wife's previous relationship, he was born in the 90s. He had issues with developmental issues and had to have special training and work done with this whole verbal stuff. He had issues saying certain things. Had a lot of training. The school really helped spend a lot of money trying to work and get him up and functioning properly. So that's good, but it wasn't exactly the same. So yeah, I dodged a whole hail of bullets back then, and I know at least some of the other people in comments have mentioned that, yeah, it's sad that the good result is to avoid help. Joy on that. But as well, I watched this thing, Bo the Fifth Column. Oh my God, he's good. He was talking about, this whole masculinity scale. There's alpha, beta, delta, gamma, sigma, ligma, which I'm always going to do because that's funny as hell when talking about these people. And he started talking about how, this is not a biological thing. It's not based on something that's biological because you can become these things. They have these guides telling you how to become an alpha male, how to become a sigma male. So it's an expression of masculinity that is not biologically based. It is an expression of male gender on a spectrum where some people are seen as you're this up here and other you're not. Most people appear to be over here, but some people need to be happier to transition up to this state. So it's amazing how all of these alpha sigma people trying to prove that biology is real and genders, there's only two. You sort of showed that your masculine gender there is all socially constructed and expressed in a socially constructed fashion. And of course said, sure. Bo said, of course, sure, people are going to be writing me comments telling me how wrong I am. But I'm not even going to read them unless you can explain to me the biological reason that a boy needs a blue blanket and the biological reason that a girl needs a pink blanket. Especially since, if you remember, before the 1945 time in our country, blue was for girls and pink was for boys. So that was another social construction change that occurred. Thumbs up. And then... with the 2 trips that I did yesterday, and then I had to make a 7-mile trip to Walmart, but yeah, going up to the library and all that, it's a separate thing to talk about, and I should have kept it in the first part. But yeah, I walked more than just my 7-mile round trip because I went to the library and then bought some stuff on my way back. So all in all, just non-regular lifetime work. It was about 10 miles yesterday I walked. Might be one of the reasons I slept well. I don't know. I want to keep trying to do that. I want to increase my physical exercise. So that is a good thing. Definitely a thumbs up. Especially since I had gotten myself down to 190 pounds. And I'm back up to 200, 205. Sure, they talk about unexplained weight loss as a health issue. But what about unexplained weight gain? I'm even eating less, and I gained all that weight back. But then, of course, there are so many genetic factors in weight. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now I'm going to try, in the very few minutes I have left, I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of my creative cryptid stuff, because I was thinking on some of that. Now, some of it is very vague world building, some of it is specific. Like, I let my subconscious chew on stuff. I've said that human beings cannot interact with cryptids, but cryptids can see and interact with human beings. Now, what sort of world would that be? Finally, last night, something has been burbling and bubbling just underneath the surface of my head, and then last night it really came out fully formed on this one. The cryptids, especially lower level non-intelligent cryptids. Now I say non-intelligent, but in my setting, the more intelligent you are, more like us with our intelligence, the more there is quantum knotting, which forms a quantum pattern around your brain, and that's part of who you are. It's an extra universal thing, but it is a pattern, a whole quantum knotting. The smaller you go, like hamsters have it, but it's like a really simple really simple patterns. But the smaller you go down until they don't have these patterns. For these creatures, when they look at the world, they may see vague flickering shadows periodically. But that's all they see of the normal matter world. When you get up to animals like hamsters and all that, they can, if they are able to focus, move and see up above that. Now, I'll explain that because it's dogs and such, upward. When they look at the world, they see an empty cryptid world. I mean, it's filled with cryptids and cryptid life because the cryptid world is lush and green and growing and exploding with plant life and insect life and mammalian life. It is like Amazonian jungle-like in the cryptid world. It is overflowing with life. But these creatures, like a snake, wouldn't really see anything but just an empty cryptid world. As in, they only see cryptid stuff. They don't even really see the shadows. Dogs, if they start to pay attention to stuff, they go from not seeing anything to seeing the shadows. And if they really focus, all the shadows just focus into people moving through the world, and they can see absolutely everyone traveling around. Just because you can't really perceive them doesn't mean they're not there, but you're not going to be impacting with them. Reality is going to keep you separate. As a cryptid, if you're crossing the street and you don't even see cars are still there. You're just not walking into them or through them. You're going around them. You can't get hit by a car. It's always going to miss you. And especially if you get up into the human level intelligence types, like Polly or Clausy and Alan, they walk through a world that's just a cryptid world. Unless they start to focus on the shadows and then pull the shadows into full focus, and then they're in the middle of our world. But that's just a perception change. Nothing has changed except they're paying attention. Nobody else can see them any better, but they can sure see everyone else better. So that's the kind of the way part of that way the world works. And then there's a lot more, but I'm only going to talk about this one. I've mentioned how the cryptids and how they work in this setting in this world is they are shackled to humanity. They cannot develop on their own. Everything that happens to them is a result of our hopes and our nightmares, our fears, our dreams, our best and our worst. They are not able to develop on their own. They are dependent on us. And with global communication now, local fears have become global fears and dreams. And they are just being whipsawed violently around the world. Right now, urban cryptids, for as much as they eat human beings, urban cryptids eat each other way more. There is a compensation beginning to occur with the light cryptids. I've mentioned how Polly is hungry. She doesn't have to eat other human beings, but she does because she gets hungry. That's going to continue for some time as an overcompensation. Just like in our world, their world has recently topped 8 billion. But for the next few hundred years, things are going to get kind of not too bad, because the population on their world is going to start dropping from 8 to about 7.5, and then for the next 100 years it's going to maintain at 7.5. Not because the human race is getting better at regulating itself, but because the world is filled with so many hungry light cryptids. They bring the world population down by 500 million, and then it stays there for the next few hundred years before the whipsawing of changes. Now, say a few hundred years, it might be far less because things change as things bubble and burble inside my brain. But that's a thing that is for the future. Does it affect any of the stories that I write? Or talk about? Or hope to write? Not really. It's just what's happening. And I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab. Going to go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. If I mispronounce or use the name, no disrespect is intended. And even though I count American Sign Language, Jesse Koskinen, Lightroom, is that not expensive? But good to see you in the comments, my friend. And Confused Owl 29. Sometimes I watch Vosh, sometimes I watch Hassan, sometimes I watch like Xander Hall, and there's a couple other lefty YouTubers that I watch periodically. But good to see you as well. JAYY, thumbs up. Thank you very much. Good to see you as well. EW. Oh, I have not been able to get hold of my youngest or my nephew. I'm going to try calling up my nephew's parents, whom I don't have a good relationship with, to try and get hold of him so I can get my new computer parts put in. Ugh. We have Crest, thumbs up and thank you. Crazy, greatly appreciated. There's Vanished Gamer, thumbs up and thank you. Orphelius, thumbs up, greatly appreciated. There is Crystal Lizette, thumbs up and thank you. And you don't have to be interesting. Leaving me any comment at all like you did is very, very good. I'm always glad to help. Thumbs up and thank you. There is Terra Rain, greatly appreciated and always glad to help. We have 77 Arcturus, always good to see you in the comments as well. I need to take your comments and write them down in my topics list, because you always have a lot of stuff I want to mention and talk about. But thank you very, very much, and good to see you as well. And there we go, 11 people who left me comments in the past 24 hours. Greatly appreciated. Get me out of my head and into the world and dealing with real people, if only for a short time, and if only in text. But thank you, it is appreciated. Well, son of a gun, as stated, I'm just going to take it easy today. I'm going to try and maybe record one of the Mike Lambo things, or try and get a D100 dungeon thing done, because I still want to do at least one more two-part thing of that. So we shall see what happens. But no matter what, wherever you are, if people are getting sick, take proper precautions. If people are getting hurt, take proper precautions. If you're out walking and you hear the mournful howl of the bus horn, the bus with your name on it, well, there are no precautions you can take. You're gonna die. It's gonna kill you. Your life is over. But until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that, quite frankly, is a very good thing.